the biggest challenges for being a TA in the meetings?
So far, it's going good for me. I
Okay,
haven't faced any such problem.
great. Well, hi, Sharon.
Hey, Bob.
Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm just doing a check-in. So I'll be here for a little bit.
Okay, great, great. I've got Brandon who's going to stick with me the whole time.
Yep, I see that.
Kevin's started streaming on live stream, so at 11 o'clock we're going to go live.
Oh, we're actually live now.
Oh, we are.
Just
Oh,
so you know, it's always live from the minute it says that. So
okay. As soon as it's
be
live.
cautious that they're seeing us right now talk about it. So
Fantastic, fantastic. All right, all right. Now, are we live on Facebook? I believe,
yes.
right? And we have.
Yeah, it pushes to that as well. So
Okay, great, great.
yeah. But I don't see you recording. That you do later, right, Bob?
I start recording right at when I start admitting people. Yeah,
That's fine. That's why I remembered you doing that, but just wanted to
I know.
ask because sometimes it kicks it off.
Oh, I haven't had that issue.
I think it's because you do it later.
Oh,
So you probably haven't had that.
I've been lucky, I think. Okay. Got some people joining us. So this is a brand new topic on Get Set Up.
I saw that.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see I see some familiar faces already too, and icons and virtual backgrounds and all kinds of things, huh? Great. Okay, so let me get people admitted here and we'll get started. For those of you joining us by live stream, welcome. For those of you joining us through Get Set Up, we're letting you into the meeting as we get started here, and we'll wait a minute or two for people to get going. Some of you may know that you can use chat. We do watch chat. We have quite a bit of help with us today for anybody that's having any technical issues. We have Sharon from GSU support, Get Set Up, of support, and Brandon is with us. And we're also live streaming on the internet as well. So people will be able to see us from the live stream. And for those of you that are joining us via live stream, we encourage you to join getsetup.io, visit our website and set up an account. And your membership is free. It keeps track of all of your classes that you attend and gives you the ability to join in and participate in classes and ask questions as well. Okay, so it looks like we've got most everybody in. I'm going to get started with sharing a few introductory slides, and then I'm going to see what kinds of questions people have about home offices. I've been working out of a home office since the mid 1980s. That doesn't mean I know everything, but I've solved a lot of problems over the years and having different things out there. So I'm going to share some slides and then we'll get introduced and talk about a few things, okay? So I live in Seal Beach, California. I grew up in Chicago and moved out to California my dad was a school teacher in the Chicago Public School District and later on a elementary school principal. And we would take Route 66 to come out to California all the time. And when I wanted to move out west. And so I went to college out here. I met my late wife here and we settled down, got a house in Long Beach and then got a house in Los Alamitos and I've worked out of the house since the mid 1980s. I worked in the technology industry and I've had my own internet service company and my own training company as well. And right now I'm just pretty much focused on trying to make it easier for people to use technology and trying to make it simpler to understand. And so that's one reason why I'm on Get Set Up. We learn from each other. Ideally we can see you and, we encourage you to put your camera on so we can wave and say hi to each other. You can request a recording after class. You can do that by sending an email to help@getsetup.io. And if you're joining by live stream, again, we encourage you to join us, register for a class. And we might mention some products, but we are not paid to promote specific products. We just are mentioning them because they're something we found useful or helpful to people. So let's take a look at our agenda, and then we'll see what kind of questions people might have. We're going to talk about home office essentials. Your home office is the place where you do things in your home, but everybody has a different size and shape of their home. I've actually worked out of my car. I worked for a company, but our car was the office. So I've had an office in my car. I've had an office in my bedroom. I've had offices where we had dial-up internet before we even had high-speed connections. And so I had started working out of home office when I had small kids and family and other issues and other things dealing with personal and social tips are some things, and also handling things like with employer or employee relationships. If you have a job or you're doing some work for somebody or somebody is working for you, I have a few tips for that too. And we'll talk about some tips for helping to create a good workspace. So before we get started, and obviously we'll take questions throughout but I'm just curious if people are hoping to learn anything specific or have anything they're wondering about when it comes to home office making it work better for you. Anybody have any questions right now that we want to get in before we get started? Just go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi. I had two questions. Maybe you could address it sometime during your presentation when convenient. One is actually three questions. One is, what headsets do you find effective for screening out background noise?
Okay.
The other is I'm finding that I really need two computers to do a lot of things, because I'll be reading one thing, but then maybe trying to type something into an application or something. So I'm finding I'm actually needing to look at two screens to get things done. And third, I work in a space where people come in and out all the time. Sometimes I'm working in the kitchen and people come in to get a drink, or they're now. Anyway, so I find myself working in a common space.
Sure.
And it can be very distracting at different times of the day.
That's
wondering if you have any tips in that area. I feel like I have chargers everywhere. Just trying to keep even everything charged, even though I have the newest phone. All these, I guess, things require a lot of battery power or something.
Yeah.
So those are my three questions. If you could answer any and all, then that would be great. Thank you.
We'll take a stab at it. I mean, every environment's a little bit different, so you have different challenges, and you're not alone in having these challenges as well. So Carol Sue put something up in chat: organizational tips for multitasking. That's an interesting one. You want to elaborate anything on that, Carol, and let us about what you mean by multitasking, or just handling just a lot of balls in the air at the same time?
Well, not only having all those balls up in the air, but as far as the taking in files and reminders and so that, like, basically you have one taking client and you working on it, but then the other one you don't want to take and forget about. You know what I'm saying? As far as dates and times and everything taken else. It's just a matter of how to keep all the balls up in the air while you're multitasking, and how to keep things organized so that you don't look like a dummy. Sure.
That's a good point. Yeah. I in addition to high-tech solutions, I use a low-tech solution. I don't know if I can get this to appear right, but it's called a Post-it note. It's always effective to do things with there. So we'll try and take a look at that. Sometimes specific technologies, like I know Alice, you're asking a more specific, you plug in directly to the back of your modem. Okay. Now it doesn't matter, when you're working. Part of being the home office manager and managing a home office is you've got to be a jack of all trades. You've got to know a little bit about the technology you're using, the job you're doing, the way you get organized and do things is helpful too. So I don't know if we'll answer every question, but I'll give you some resources where you can find some additional answers beyond what we might cover today too. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. All right. Well, let me show you a little bit of a few slides here that might help you out as we get started. And there's places where sometimes you need to go find information on technology. And these are my go-to resources. I mean, Amazon has reviews. So if you're investing in anything from a chair to lighting, to webcams, to computers, to other things that can help you out, there are resources out there. Consumer Reports is an independent website, and Wirecutter is a website that's owned by the New York Times, but they do reviews. They do accept advertising because they are a publication, but they're one of my favorite go-to sites. I'm going to bring them up in my web browser just so you get an idea of the resources that are available. And I'll put them in chat as well so that you can see. They're free to use, and they have a lot of information. They test a lot of things, but they also give a lot of information. So if I just look up something like home office, for example, they will bring up a lot of information. So they have ideas for different types of things. So like I say, I can't solve every question about a home office, but they have things. So maybe you want to go paperless. They have articles that they publish because they've all gone working for home office. They have best home office setup under $1,000, essential ergonomic gear. Ergonomics is the science of making sure that your body is going to be working comfortably without causing any harm to it when you're sitting and working in a home office. How to create a full-time workspace at home, the best home office furniture and supplies, the best apps, for your home office. So they've got a lot of pictures. So somebody mentioned something about, organization. They have applications that they might recommend for organizing and trying to do web productivity and finance apps, headphones and speakers. So somebody asked about good headphones for noise cancellation. And I found that their recommendations really seem to work pretty well. So they have different types of articles on different types of things for all types of activities. So if you're looking for monitors and you're saying, gee, what should I get for a second monitor? I use 2 monitors in my home office setup. One's on my laptop, and they have, they give you a variety of ranges of picks that help you out with different types of tools and different price ranges. So they typically will have a high end, a mid-range, and a budget. They have information for backup services. They have all types of resources. So working at home parents, okay, the gear we found helps us maintain productivity and sanity. That's a character thing about working out of home. So these are, if you have to move it outside, how to do it. 8 cheap alternatives for pricey home office gear, and you probably own them. So these are all kinds of resources that are available for anything you might not even think about, referring to as what can I do? And the articles are really, really helpful because they pull information from their staff, from their readers, all types of things that can help out in sharing information about a home office. So they're one of my resources. So I wanted to let you know that you're going to find lots of answers through that website. It's really productive. And of course, Amazon will recommend some things too. I use both Macs and Windows, and I have a cable modem and all these types of things. So my environment's probably not too different from a lot of things. Okay, let's talk a little bit about some basic technology. Your computer is probably going to be the main tool that you use in a home office. I don't have a wired landline desk phone anymore. I just use my mobile phone. But I have a desk and a chair and environment where I use a laptop. And the trick with, these days with home office work is chances are you're doing multitasking on your computer. Somebody mentioned about multitasking. You're probably reading something and typing it in, and a big screen helps you. The larger the screen you can get and fit in your space, the better off you'll be, because then you can have two windows side by side open on a single screen. I write a lot of books, and I'm able to have two versions of my book in Windows side by side. But on a smaller laptop, it's a little harder to do because sometimes the screens get smaller. But the bigger the screen you can have, the better. And if you're just using your computer for web browsing or email, you don't really need that fast or that powerful a computer. But if you're starting to use it, if you're using it for Zoom or Office applications, and you probably need what's referred to as a mid-range computer, generally something in the $600 to $1,200 price range will fit that range. And then if you're doing a lot of video or photo editing, or you do a lot of multitasking, the best computer you can buy is the best one. You can always buy monitor. I was at Costco the other day. I found an accessory monitor for like $120. And most laptops have a connector that allow you to plug in an auxiliary accessory monitor. So you can actually use your laptop with another screen and get a keyboard or a mouse for it. What helps a lot these days when we're using Zoom and video conferencing is the built-in tool, the microphone and webcam that come with a lot of computers is not that high a quality. And so I recommend you get an accessory one. I've gone to Wirecutter to find recommendations, but there's a lot of them that are good out there too. And that will improve the quality of how you appear on camera to other people, and also the quality of how you sound. I have a hearing impairment. I wear hearing aids. I've done that. I've worn them for about 8 years. And so hearing people is a challenge sometimes for me, even if the sound is pretty clear. And so having a good set of speakers, but I found a great set of speakers for $20 from Amazon Basics. They work really well. I kind of prefer speakers to a headset because I just find that it's easier for me to hear. But I do have a set of AirPods that I use sometimes from Apple that I use with my Mac. I do have new hearing aids I'm ordering that are going to actually have Bluetooth built in. So I'll be able to, I'm going to try them out and see how well I can hear when I'm playing things on Bluetooth. But a little bit of quality can make a big difference in the comfort and ease, your ability to sit and work all day long. Any questions about computers? We do a class occasionally on how to buy a new PC, but if you're working out of a home office and you're doing a lot of things on it, having as much computer as you can afford is probably the best thing you can do.
Can you tell, Bob, can you tell me what connection you need on a laptop to connect it to a monitor?
Generally, the brand of laptop you have will typically have an accessory port, an accessory USB or accessory HDMI that plugs in. Each brand is a little bit different, but check to make sure the connection port you have on it.
No, I think it's got an HMI plus a USB ports.
Okay, and sometimes you can get port extenders too that give you the ability to plug more things in. But I mean, a lot of laptops are designed for plugging in an accessory monitor. Some don't have the right connection. So it just is a matter of your brand of laptop and whether it supports that or not.
Okay.
Your network, okay. You're getting your internet access from an internet service provider. And generally, you don't need to get an upgraded plan or an upgraded resource from most people. Most of the time, the standard plans give you at least what's called 20 megabits per second. Usually they give you 100 megabits per second. So that's the amount of data and that can download to your network. What happens is that as you start, if you're in an environment where you have where you're sharing the network with other people, when you have multiple users, each user uses up a little block of that data. And so it helps to take a look at what other people might be using, and supporting multiple users might take a little bit upgraded connection. Usually a wired connection is better quality than Wi-Fi. It just depends on how close you are to your Wi-Fi router. But if you can test your connection with a website called Speed Test. I'm going to go there now and show you. We'll test my network. Okay, it helps to spell it. Okay, speedtest.net. Okay, and there are several services out there. So it's a website, it's free. I just go to speedtest.net. I'm going to copy and paste this into chat. And you're just saying, gee, what is my network connection like? I'm going to click on it and it goes and it starts to connect. It's advertising supported, so you'll see some things there. And I've got a roughly a 70 megabit per second download speed. Okay. Now, because I do a lot of Zoom hosting, I upgraded my plan so I get a faster upload speed. Generally, internet service providers will give you a smaller upload speed than they do download. But if your upload speed is only a few megabits per second, it might be bad for things like Zoom or video sharing. Mine's 21, which is more than enough, but I upgraded my plan to the next level up. So that's one of the things you want to be aware of, is if you are hosting Zoom meetings or hosting video conferences, having a good speed connection, a fast connection is going to help you when you're doing that and working with anything, because sometimes you have to upload files. If you're working on work documents or books or other things, you've got to upload files. Okay, some other technology considerations. Security, make sure you're updating your software, whether you use Windows or Mac. Make sure you have an antivirus, malware tool on your Windows computer. Macs come with them built in. Phones have built-in security. Organizational requirements, depending on who you're working with, they may require you to have something like a virtual private network, but they're going to give them to you. But their support resources might be limited, so they might ask you to do things. On your phone, if you have one phone, phones are not inexpensive devices, so having one phone works great. But you do have the ability, sometimes people have separate work phones and personal phones, okay? And so they want to separate, the information. And a headset works great. Earbuds and headsets, and Wirecutter has lots of recommendations for headsets. If I go to Wirecutter and I go, just look up headset, it'll come up with the best USB headset or the best wireless one. Some people don't like the wire, but the best USB, they've tested a whole bunch of them, and they have recommendations based on sound quality. And they're not real expensive, but they can really make it very, very comfortable. They say it's comfortable enough to wear for a full workday filled with long conference calls, and it'll help silence out the noise in the background as well. So headsets are good for people that have to work in shared environments too, because they use them a lot in call centers. And so people that work in call centers can help minimize the external noise. And when they talk, the microphone doesn't pick up much away from them. So it works really well. I recommend, if you have a piece of technology, that you look at the support plans that exist for that. If you work and your equipment is used for work, it's important to have it working all the time. So if it breaks down, which it can do, having a support plan with your computer or with your technology can really make a huge difference in terms of your ability to get back up and running right away. Now, fortunately, with a lot of applications that you can use on a tablet or phone and a laptop or a desktop, sometimes you can at least get some things done, like my email. If I don't have my computer in front of me, I still got email coming in on my phone. But I'd rather not have to type out a long document on my phone because the keyboard's smaller, right? I'd rather be able to sit at my computer and do it on a real keyboard. But learn how to find some good websites. Get Set Up is a great way to learn more about technology that's essential to you, that will help make you productive. And your technology is a tool, just like anything else. It's a tool, and it's there to help you out. Any questions about technology? Now, there's a lot of classes on different technologies like Google Drive and OneDrive and Microsoft, Office Suite and other things like that. So it's really more to help you understand some of the basics of technology, but getting a little upgrade, can really make a huge difference in some of your technology.
Sorry, Bob. Is Windows 10 on Windows Defender on Windows 10 as good as the antiviruses that you buy?
Yeah, Windows 10 comes built in with its own virus and anti-malware software that's included with Windows 10,
Right.
just like Macs do, and you don't need to buy anything extra.
Okay.
Yep, just make sure you get updated. Okay, you update Windows.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. There's a lot of questions about technology that might come up because you're a technical support person for your home office, whether you like it or not. So I didn't make that happen. I'm sorry, but they end up trying to figure things out. But also find friends and partners, and people that work from home too, and that will help you because socializing, but also getting help on things. So Wirecutter is a great resource for all types of technology and also workspace topics. I recommend you take advantage of that website. They've got a lot of things. Okay, let's talk about the workspace. Some of you may have a dedicated workspace. You have a room that you can use for your home office. I did at one time. I don't now. I have, a home office set up in one of my bedrooms that I use as a guest room when my kids come visit. A private room obviously is best, where you can close the door because you can indicate there's some privacy. But when you're working with environment, one of you mentioned, I know somebody mentioned they have to work at a kitchen table, and there's people coming and going all the time. And so that can be distracting. So you may or may not have exactly what you need for a workspace to make it ideal, but you can make almost any workspace work. Some of it's the physical aspect of the workspace, and some of it's the social aspect of the workspace. And we'll take a look at both of them. A dedicated location where you can say, okay, I'm using this location. I can keep my laptop, my webcam, my computer, my keyboard, my phone, my chargers plugged in here all the time, works best. If you've got a private room, that's terrific, okay? But you don't always have that. And sometimes you have to work in a space where there's traffic around you. And so having a quick setup, having, say, a power strip where you have all of the things you need to plug in can make it really easy for you to get the office set up when you start work, and also to tear it down when you need to turn that space over to other people. Keep in mind that when you're in a shared space, people can hear you, but also you can hear other people. And so we'll talk a little bit about some things you can do to manage that. The comfort and the lighting are really important for being able to work. Having a good chair is really a great investment if you can afford it. Sitting on an uncomfortable chair, and this ergonomics means that your eyes should face the monitor at about eye level. Your arm should basically, your elbow should be at the same height as your work surface. And you shouldn't have to lean forward or back uncomfortably in a chair, because that chair can become a problem. And also remember, get up every hour for about 5 or 10 minutes to stretch. That will help you as well. There are recommendations for home office chairs on Wirecutter and other sites. They can really make a huge difference. When people work in offices, the human resources department typically requires that the company invest in some high quality office furniture to make it easier for you to work with. Something on mute here because we're getting some static. Okay. Carol Sue, did you have a question or? Okay. So,
No.
okay. All right. So, but these are all, resources that you can use. Make it organized. So, I mean, I worked out of a car, and so having a file cabinet that was a little hand carrier worked really effectively. Sometimes it helps to put on a different, piece of clothing when you're going to work. If you're working with video and you don't have a virtual background, having a clear, uncuttered background makes it easy. And also make sure your camera is pointing to the right thing. So, right, because sometimes your camera on a laptop, your camera might be pointing up an angle. And so that might be an issue. So if your laptop is sitting on a table, your laptop camera is going to pointing up. If you have a desktop and you have a webcam mounted on top here, it's a little more equal to eye level. And it makes a difference when people see you on camera. We don't always look great on camera. We never like the way we look on camera. That's true of almost everybody. But having a good camera that you look directly at makes a more pleasant environment for people who want to watch you on video camera. And keep in mind that people will see whatever's going on in back of you if you don't use a virtual background as well. So any questions about your some workspace tips? Because I know we had some people that had some workspace challenges here. I find with work environments, the actual having video is not as critical as having good audio. Having good sound quality is more important, because even though a lot of meetings are being done on video, the video adds a lot of demands to the meeting technology, and people can really accomplish a lot of what they want to accomplish over the phone, over audio as well. So a lot of professional meetings tend to be going that way. Lighting, Carosu has a question about lighting for Zoom calls. It's best to have the lighting. I'm going to try drawing here a little bit, okay? It's best to have the lighting to the side of where you're facing. So if you have a desk and your desk is basically a square like this, and this is your chair is going to be, say, positioned here, and this is where your head is at, and this is like a top view of it. Ideally, you'd want to have some lighting, that you'd want to have a light here and a light here, as opposed to something facing you head on. There are webcams that have lighting built into them, but that can be awfully distracting to you if you're looking at a screen. So by having lighting on the side of your monitor here, like having a table lamp or something like this on the side of your monitor, having just a shade will work pretty well. But you need a lot. Having a 100-watt lamp in here is not overdoing it. Okay, but Valeria, you've got your hand up. Valeria, you had your hand up for a question.
How do you set up a virtual background?
Well, there's a class for that. Okay. Using virtual backgrounds with Zoom. Okay, I'm using a virtual background right now. My computer is using a picture behind me, and Zoom is telling the computer to ignore what's really behind me, ignore what the camera really sees, and replace it all with a slide of a picture. This is actually just a picture, so I can replace it with anything. So in Zoom, there's a tool called virtual backgrounds that can help, or you can get more elaborate with something like a green screen to give your background a higher quality effect if you want to. But we do a class on Zoom virtual backgrounds for beginners, but also you can just go to the Zoom website and look at research virtual backgrounds, and they have a lot of help on there too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, I will tell you one thing. When it comes to personal appearance, everybody that I know of is never happy with the way they look on video. And there's a challenge to that. Okay, one of the reasons that I read in a psychology book was that when we look in a mirror, or when we look at a view of ourselves from a camera, our brain is used to thinking of our left side as our left side mentally, and our right side as our right side. We grew up thinking this is left, this is right. But when you look on my camera, when you look on the screen, if I move my left hand, it is on the right side, isn't it? Okay, if I move my right hand, it's on the left side. And your brain kind of goes a little wacky and says, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. My left is here, but I'm looking at my left and it's over here. So your brain has a little bit of disorientation that takes a little bit of getting used to really get comfortable with it. So people just don't like their faces in left and right sides inverted. It's kind of weird mentally to kind of keep track of. So in case you're wondering, that's why. Okay. So let's take a look at some personal issues here. Okay. Personal issues are some of the toughest ones to deal with. We talked about multitasking, productivity, making sure there are I use a lot of note-taking apps in my computer. With Windows, it comes with OneNote. Macs come with a Notes app. You don't have to use anything. You get them on your phone. I make notes for a lot of things. I don't really need to use a word processor a lot. I just need to make sure I have some text written down. So like I'll have an agenda for a class I'm creating, or a note that I want to remember, some information, or I have a note of movies I want to watch. And so I organize everything with notes. And I found that people that seem to do that get a little, more organized. I also use reminders a lot because I forget things, everybody forgets things. So if you want to have a reminder, so take advantage of there's apps that are free and they're built into your phone, and your phone can be a productivity tool if you learn to use the reminders and notes apps that come built in with your phone. And there's, depending on whether you're using Android or Windows or Apple, use the one that is on the device you're going to use the most, because you can access them all from the web anytime you need to. Task-based things, like I have due dates. For example, I'm developing a class right now for understanding the cloud. And I know that I've done the class before, but I know that I need to give myself a week, because I need to prepare the slides. I need to prepare an introduction video. I need to rehearse it once. And so I know all of those things are necessary to create a project for me. So understanding and using those little reminders and notes apps really can help improve your life a lot. They're probably the two apps, other than calendar and email and the web browser, I probably use reminders and notes every day on my phone. And I use them on my computer. So whichever one is most comfortable with you, that will help you out. So depends on your work style. Some people are better off working on tasks. Say, I'm going to work until I finish this. And some people are good at breaking up tasks into pieces, others are not. Some people are better off working by time. I'm going to work on this for an hour. So it's like anything else, is that what's going to help you feel more like you're accomplishing things, depending on your personal work style. The other thing is time management. When I first went to a home office, the company I worked for was a computer company, and they wanted to save money on office space. And so they said, let's ship as many people to home as we can and cut down on our leasing. Everybody started working a lot more at home because they felt they needed to. Their computer was right nearby, or phone was available. But after the first 3 or 4 months, everybody discovered, gee, we're working a lot more hours. And that's, some studies have shown that people can be, usually are more productive when they're working at home, because part of it's the little social, the coffee, the water cooler breaks and the coffee breaks are not there. So it's important for you to remember to build in breaks from yourself for good management, and also try and avoid isolation and overwork, the kind of extremes that can happen. Joining, communicating with people, giving people a phone call, letting people know about things and saying, okay, I'm done with the workday at 6 o'clock, or schedule, lunch for yourself, and a show that you want to watch on TV or streaming to take a break. Because just because you're at home and the computer and everything is available doesn't mean you have to be doing it all the time. Of course, obviously, if you got a project that has a due date, you might work longer for getting it ready. But also remember that you have to plan in some personal time for yourself as well. And talking to people, having phone conversations is great. Zoom meetings are wonderful, but we can overdo it sometimes too. So any questions about some personal aspects of working from home that can help you out. Okay. Discussion and communication are probably the best things you can do for managing family, roommates, coworkers, okay? Make sure you discuss your privacy needs. Some people don't have a dedicated room to work out of. Some people have to share a workspace, and they might have other people that are working. Somebody might be doing homework. Somebody might be doing work for their job. Somebody might be have a phone conversation. Phone conversations are challenging because it's hard to be quiet. So having what places that you can utilize for private phone conversations when you need them is helpful. If you can find a room, even if it's not your office, but if you can use a bedroom or a private space where you can close the door for phone conversations, that will help. Or let people know, hey, when I'm on a phone, I need everyone else to be quiet. People use real signs. There was actually a person I read about that he had a kids at home and dogs and pets, and he actually created a little light switch with a sign, in a meeting, and he had a little sign outside his door that would flash up, and say in a meeting. I don't know if you've seen those on the air signs and radio stations, but just having a little door knob, like hotels have little door handles, do not disturb, right? Communication helps. So people may not know that you do not need to want to be disturbed, or you shouldn't be disturbed, because sometimes they'll just take advantage of the fact that you're around. When I had the kids at home, I had my office in my bedroom, and I had the bedroom door open when I wasn't on phone calls, but I would close it for sometimes when I needed to concentrate on something. But I'd also let them know, that when I didn't have it there, that it was possible for them to come up and start a conversation with me and communicate. So being understanding and communicating often and frequently, establishing some ground rules, and setting aside family time breaks as well. If your kids are around, or family's around, or other people you're living with are around, let them know, hey, I'm busy until noon, and then we can spend some time together. Oh, okay. And people are really very flexible if you just explain things to them as well. Coworkers, they're going to be, if they're remote right now, because you're working at home, they're working at home, or maybe some are in offices, maintain that connection. Sorry, my slides sometimes click in advance when I tap my mouse accidentally. So maintaining a connection, talking to people, chat can help, social, there's communication tools that some companies have put in place that can help, but just, sending a message, text messaging people can help. My bike riding group that I've been with for years, we've kept in touch, and we rode individually when it wasn't safe to ride in groups. And now that we're starting to get more vaccinated, people in our group, we're starting to get groups together, but we maintain the connections through a Facebook group that we had. And that really helps. So people could share rides that they were doing. They could share, items about their bikes they were working on and things like that. So also being friendly and helping out. I mean, I help out a lot of other people, my friends and neighbors, and coworkers, if they need help with solving something. It's a technical issue that I might have solved, or something they're struggling with and want to communicate. We have some lunch and learn sessions that we've organized at work, but you can pull people together and organize that as well. So, and I build in lunch breaks, so I build in about an hour and a half lunch break to my schedule. So I'm not doing classes back to back to back. And we have 30-minute breaks between classes that we have as well. But communication's really, really important for that. And feel free to use a real piece of, write on a piece of paper, do not disturb, or need quiet time, if to help people be a little more understanding. So if they do come in the kitchen to get a drink of water or something like that, they understand. Or invest in a thermos, so that people, I have a thermos that I keep next to my desk where I make coffee in the morning, and I never know when my son might need to use the kitchen, so I always have my coffee at my desk for the whole day. Just it was a $20 thermos, but it makes a huge difference in my not needing to worry about, can I get in, am I going to interrupt him, or is he going to interrupt me to get coffee? But these are helpful tips. Sometimes you've got managers to work with, so text communication is a poor substitute for face-to-face. One of the advantages of video, and as an instructor, one of the advantages of video is that you can see people's reactions to what you're communicating. Now, people aren't in a classroom. I would teach adult education and classes in a real classroom, and I could see people's reactions. People could raise their hand and get my attention. So there was a lot more interaction, and we rely a lot on facial recognition features in order to see, are we communicating okay? Are people getting the point? Are we understanding things? Because people can nod their heads. And if you have your video off, nobody can see you whether you're nodding your head or not, or whether you're scratching your head, right? Those are just natural, things that people do to kind of communicate. And so clients, managers, employees, other things, relationships you have are all going to be understanding. Now, people have become very understanding about Zoom. So people know you might have a cat or a dog that shows up occasionally. But if you've got a dog that's barking all the time when you're making the presentation, have some, try and find a way to help solve that problem, because it's going to be difficult for people to put up with and tolerate. So particularly if you're working with clients, you want to have a good background. You want to recognize your office environment as much as possible and have things. And being tech savvy is a valuable tool. Having a lot of patience. I mean, being a remote office worker requires a lot of patience. But also, if you don't hear from people, pick up the phone and call them. So sometimes people forget to communicate. Some people, might be running late on something. So it's okay, but put a little more courtesy into your communications than you might otherwise normally think of, because people can easily interpret a short response as being, rude or impatient or whatever something, happens. And, learning from the web and sharing tips can be helpful as well. Any other questions about the social side of this? Because this is sometimes the most challenging part of working from home. Okay. If you are in an employee or supervisor situation, it really helps to help people set expectations on both sides. Make sure there's clear responsibilities between everybody. Make sure there's the right kind of support and communications and management. So sometimes depending on what you do, once a month is enough, but sometimes once a week, sometimes once a day. It really depends on the kind of work you do and how you do it as to the degree. Some supervisors say, I trust you to take care of everything unless you need me for something. Other supervisors would, appreciate, something. And supervisors don't necessarily know what they're doing either. Home office might be new to them, and so they might not be comfortable with the remote management aspect of a workforce and how to deal with that, whereas other people are fine. Okay. Well, thank you, Mary. Appreciate that. And a lot of times people have things going on in the background, that they don't want to be on video or they don't want to be. But that's why using reactions and things like that is helpful. And sometimes people are finding this is okay. Okay, so let me, there my slides went again. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. We got a lot of questions we can take and talk about technology and workspace and personal and social challenges, working with a remote supervisor, and other things that one of the best investments I made in my home office was actually a home office chair. It cost $500, but it's I don't underestimate the value of, if you're going to be sitting and working in a home office a lot of the time, it helps to invest in a chair. And I'm going to show you Wirecutter here. Wirecutter will have home office chair. And I had this when I worked for Hewlett Packard and they pushed us all to home offices. They said, we're going to buy you the equivalent chair we would buy for you in the office. And it was a Herman Miller Aeron chair. Now, it's a little bit older style, but you can find used ones. You might have seen office chairs like this or others, but they're saying, why is it important? And these people are right. Okay, cheap office chairs will make you feel like you've been crammed into a torturous economy seat on a cross-country flight, right? And so some people decide, well, I'd rather sit in the sofa, or I'd rather, and some people are okay working in a lot of areas. And so since 2015, they've recommended the Steelcase Gesture as the best office chair for most people. Now, this is an expensive chair because you can't find that many used ones. It is $1,000, okay? But it is one of these, if you were gonna go work for a company and they put you in a cubicle, this is what they buy, because companies are supposed to provide a comfortable work environment that doesn't cause any harm, physical harm to their employees. And so they have ergonomic designs that they go with. And these chairs are really heavy duty. They last 20 years. And so you're not going to have to replace it. So Steelcase Gesture is, it adjusts, it gives you lumbar support, it gives you back support, it lets you change the position to reclining. The rollers are really efficient. Because I bought, a couple chairs for a couple $100 from IKEA and Staples, but they've broken down after a while, and these were going to last for forever. Now, another one, and you can find these used, the Herman Miller Aeron chair. It's been around for like 30 years. It's a classic design. This is the one I have, and I bought a refurbished one. You can actually find refurbished Herman Miller Aeron chairs for about $500, and a refurbished one is just as good as a new one. These chairs have a great mesh background. The armrests adjust up and down. The rollers are great. They have lumbar support. You can adjust the angle you work at. So you are not going to feel like you're sitting in a chair all day long if you use one of these chairs. So unfortunately, the Steelcase, they're not that many used around, but the Herman Miller Aeron, because it's been around for so many years, it is going to be well. So the big difference is that the armrests aren't quite as adjustable, but it's okay. And then another one, if you can't find it, they have a Herman Miller Sail Mother, and it just the appearance. It's some people like it. It doesn't have all the advanced features, but it's going to be great. So this is what, if the top picks are out of your price range, similar comfort and durability for about half the price. Not quite as adjustable, but it's going to be much more adjustable than anything you've got at an office store. And then a budget pick if these are out of your price range. Standing desks, good question. Okay, let's take a look at standing desks. I don't use a standing desk, but I know a lot of people that do. For me, I'm okay. So why are standing desks something that people like? Okay, no matter how great your office chair is, sitting in it all day isn't doing your body any favors. That's why. So being constantly on your feet isn't good either. So what the ideal solution for people that can afford it is an electric height adjustable standing desk. That gives you the best of both worlds. So you can stand up and work for a while just by pushing a button. Anyone that has hand cranked a standing desk knows that they're not great. But you want a very heavy duty. They're not inexpensive, but they will work, and you can adjust it to the exact perfect height for comfort. And so when you want to stand up and work for a while, because standing works great. Kitchen counters are designed for people to stand and work at. But if you have your desk at sitting level all the time, raising it up. There's also some accessories I've seen that allow you to lift your computer, laptop up and screen up that give you the ability to kind of just set it on top of a desk. So they work out pretty well as well. But like I said, you can see I go to Wirecutter for a lot of things. And I actually had a Herman Miller Aeron chair before Wirecutter mentioned it. So it's interesting to see. But use that as a resource. It'll help you out a lot. And I'll put the link in the slide. So any other questions about home office? It's kind of interesting. There are just a lot of different areas: social, workspace, tasks. The more you can do to make it comfortable for you to sit down or go to your desk and work or workspace, and the faster you can get it set up. Little things like power strips that make it easy to take everything with you, a good webcam, a good microphone, little things like that will make your life a lot more comfortable. So any questions before we wrap up? Did you learn a few things today about maybe you were doing things right? Maybe you're doing things that you wanted to learn. Are there some other tips and resources that you can find? If you're interested in virtual backgrounds, there's a lot of classes on Zoom that are available. I recommend you learn about the cloud drives that are available from Microsoft, Google, and Apple. They will help your productivity. Next classes that I'm doing, how to buy your next Windows PC. Actually, we've changed this PowerPoint slide title. It's now PowerPoint Basics, but it's great if you make presentations. You're going to get an email. You can request a recording. We appreciate your feedback. If you've got other ideas or you'd like us to concentrate on some areas more than others, that would help. But you've got to be versatile to run a home office. You're responsible for everything: furniture, lighting, workspace, social aspects, as well as the technology. If you've got suggestions, let us know. Put it in the feedback. Let us know about help. It gets set up. Email something there, and we'd appreciate anything. And even we offer opportunities for our guests to host interest groups as well. So it's something that you're interested. Let us know. We'd appreciate that too. So any questions before we go off and work on our home offices? Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, Wen.
In what situation would you suggest getting a webcam? Because I notice sometimes when people are on Zoom meetings, they're not looking right. They're looking at the side. I wonder whether some people find it better to be at a side view. I'm not sure why.
Well, I think it's because sometimes people they might be looking, like if I turn to look at my other monitor like this, you're viewing me from the side. And in general, the best way of modeling your kind of behavior is to model it based on TV quality broadcasting. If you watch any of the news shows that are on TV and you see the newscasters, they're talking directly into the camera. They're reading a teleprompter, but they're talking directly into the camera, and it's a skill they acquire, but it's not hard if you practice it. So I have to I have to look at my computer screen, I have to look at chat, I have to look at the video. So I'm occasionally moving my head around, and you'd expect that from an instructor in a class. They're going to move their head around, but being able to look directly at people gives people a better chance to see that you're a real person. And Get Set Up offers live classes because that's one of the things that makes us unique to other training platforms, is that you can find recordings of things everywhere, but it's not that common. You can find a live instructor-led session where a person is actually talking to you and can answer questions. And so that's where the video helps out.
So you're saying that the the webcam is a higher quality image.
Yes, if you some laptop webcams are okay, but in almost every situation that I've been in with people that have been using their laptop microphone and their laptop webcam or their desktop, whatever came with their computer, getting an accessory USB webcam and an accessory microphone have dramatically improved the quality. If I were not using an accessory microphone, it would be more difficult. And you may have noticed it if you've attended different Get Set Up sessions, that the sound quality varies. They've actually supplied all of the guides with standard microphones and webcams specifically to make sure that we have a better quality image and a better quality sound quality so you can hear us better. And again, I'd recommend Wirecutter as a place to go for specific products. Their recommendations are really good. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you all for coming today. And it's my lunch break that I built into my schedule. So I'm following my own home office rules here. And hopefully we'll see you later at other classes that I might do, or through other suggestions you might have as well. So thanks for coming today. Appreciate it. And have a good rest of the day. Okay.
Thanks, Bob. Awesome as always.
Bye. Thank you, Mary.